Security cameras are supposed to keep people safe, but sometimes they capture things no one was meant to see. Story 1. File ID SEC-994 2_lobby. Date October 14th, 2023. Time 3:14:02 to 3:19:45. I sit in the dark, my eyes straining against the monochrome flicker of the monitor. My job is simple. Watch the lobby of the Sterling Heights apartments. Nothing ever happens here, except for the occasional drunk stumbling through the automatic doors. At 3:14, the lobby is empty. The camera's timestamp jitter fades. The angle is high, capturing the polished marble floor and the two elevators that rarely work. At 3:16:12, a resident, Mr. Henderson from 4B, walks toward the elevators. He looks tired, clutching a plastic bag from a 24-hour pharmacy. He presses the call button. He stands perfectly still, staring at the closed metal doors. At 3:16:45, something happens, or rather, something doesn't happen. In the bottom left corner of the frame, near the decorative potted palm, a shadow detaches itself from the wall. It's not cast by the lobby lights. It has depth, a jagged, oily silhouette that crawls upward against the grain of the floorboards. Mr. Henderson is looking at the elevator, humming to himself. I can see his jaw moving, but he doesn't look down. He doesn't notice the shadow stretching, lengthening like a dark tongue, reaching for his heels. At 3:17:03, the shadow stops. It's now standing directly behind him. It is unnaturally tall, its limbs elongated into thin, splintered lines. My breath hitches. I lean in, my nose brushing the glass of the screen. Where the creature's face should be, there is only a smooth, featureless surface of swirling gray static, mirroring the very footage I'm watching. The elevator dings. The doors slide open. Usually there is a gap between a person entering an elevator and the doors closing. Here, the sequence is wrong. Mr. Henderson steps forward, but he doesn't walk into the elevator. He walks through the creature. As he passes through the mass, he flinches, rubbing his shoulder as if a sudden draft just hit him. It's an observational ghosting, a ripple in the image like heat haze on asphalt. He steps into the elevator cab. He turns around to face the doors. He is smiling, but he isn't alone. The creature is inside the elevator now, hunched over, tucked into the corner behind him. The camera sees it, but the man is oblivious. He reaches out and presses the button for the 4th floor. At 3:18:20, the doors slide shut. The lobby is empty again. I should call the police. I should run upstairs and warn him. But as I reach for the phone, I glance at the corner of my own room, reflected in the dark glass of the monitor. The space behind my chair is empty, but on the screen, in the grainy, flickering footage of my own security office, I see a long, splintered shadow stretching across my floor. I haven't moved in 10 minutes, but the shadow is reaching for my chair. Story 2. Subject, security log. Camera 04, warehouse sector B. Time, 3:14:22 a.m. I spend my nights watching the digital ghosts of this warehouse. The grain is heavy, pulsating like a heartbeat, turning the concrete floor into a sea of static. At 3:14, the motion sensor triggers. It's usually a stray cat or a shift in the ventilation shadows, but tonight, the camera focuses on the aisle between the high-density racking. In the feed, the aisle is empty. I lean closer to the monitor. The timestamp advances, 3:14:45. A single pallet of inventory, stacked 6 feet high, suddenly shifts. It doesn't tilt, it slides, as if pushed by a colossal, invisible hand. The heavy plastic wrapping crinkles under the pressure of something I cannot see. I check the secondary monitor. Camera 05, the adjacent corridor. It remains pitch black. Back on camera 04, a gap opens in the center of the aisle. The dust motes in the air do not drift. They swirl, caught in a cyclonic pattern that shouldn't exist in a windowless room. Then, I see the footprint. It appears on the dusty floorboards, a dark, heavy indentation pressing into the concrete. Then another, and another. They are not walking towards the exit. They are circling the perimeter of my camera's blind spot. My heart hammers against my ribs. I reach for the intercom, my fingers hovering over the all-call button, but I freeze. The footprint pattern stops abruptly in the middle of the frame. The camera's autofocus hunts, struggling to lock onto a subject that isn't registering a thermal signature. Then, the feed quality drops. The image flickers, turning into jagged shards of green and gray. In that brief moment of interference, I see it. It isn't a figure with arms or legs. It is a cluster, a dense, shifting mass of limbs, all twisted at angles that defy biology, translucent like dirty glass. It isn't standing on the floor. It is hanging from the rafters, tucked into the dark pocket where the ceiling meets the wall. It is waiting. I look at the time, 3:16:10. The camera jolts. A loud thud echoes through my office, vibrating the desk. I look back at the monitor. The entity is gone. The aisle is empty again, save for the pallet, which is now knocked completely over. Its contents spilled like jagged teeth across the floor. But the real terror isn't what the camera sees. It's what it misses. I look at the edges of the frame. The wall near the ceiling, the spot where the entity was clinging, is now perfectly clear. But the shadow cast on the floor by the overhead security light is wrong. It is elongated, stretching out past the frame of the screen, reaching toward the door of my office door. I haven't heard the hallway handle turn, but the shadow on the screen has already crossed the threshold. I stare at my monitor, paralyzed, as the shadow reaches the bottom of my desk, and then slowly begins to climb, begins